Hey everybody, this is Gaynor Meilke with the Conscious Success Plan, and today we're going to be talking about the L in life, which is love, and also the I, which is identity, F as in family, and then E as in enterprise. So it's been almost 5 years to the day that I finalized my divorce, and although it was sad, it was actually one of the best things that I did for myself and for my family. So, although the love bank, as I called it, kind of ran out of steam, at least a romantic love bank and the types of love that you would expect in marriage, um, did not survive or could not be repaired in a satisfactory manner. My identity actually was. And I think that if you're considering divorce, it's not something that you should consider lightly. It took me, right, about 7 years to really come to the conclusion that despite my best efforts, it was going to stifle the rest of my life if I continued on down the path that we were on. And certainly, my ex-spouse wasn't going to have the opportunity to do his own growth either. And for our daughter, it certainly wasn't a healthy environment. So overall, it's not something that I went into marriage thinking I would get divorced, but after 8 years of dating and then 19 years of being married, I felt like I had given it a really good go. So, um, as far as the identity shift, I really did have a chance to kind of reclaim who I was and not be mired down by somebody else's immaturity and inability really to um, take accountability for what their part of the relationship problems were. And I think that's, a fair assessment. It takes two to tango, of course. And then as far as the family goes, although family, we've been constructed in society as meaning a mom and a dad and, one or more kids, and that's the ideal model. I would also say that it's an unrealistic model sometimes, depending on the people involved, and that the family breakdown, so to speak, is not necessarily any worse or better than a dysfunctional traditional family. So we can see that there's a lot of trauma coming out of traditional marriages and traditional families. And so if we can do better in a different configuration, I think that we all should do that. As long as we're not hurting anybody else. And to remember too that life is short and that if we can't get out of our own way because of a relationship or we're stifled from achieving our full potential, that's also an important factor in life too. And then lastly, enterprise. I'm definitely economically better off, um, knock on wood, as a single person, because I can do more of what I wanted to do with my skills and talents and career. And so I don't think that it's necessarily true that women suffer economically if they're prepared. And I think that is one of my passions, is that I don't think that we should sell to our children, whether they're male or female, that they should depend on somebody else for their economic viability and for their economic security. So making sure that your children are prepared to be able to fend for themselves and to understand what that really means is super important and something I'm very passionate about. So that is my life, my take on 5 years after my divorce. Definitely would do it all over again. And the only differences I think I would have is probably um, to make a concrete plan a little bit earlier, and then also um, just maybe have done it a little bit sooner. So, other than that, I would say if you're considering divorce, make sure that you consult with a good lawyer and also really do some thinking about how you're going to structure your life afterwards and what that might mean. It's important to have some supports in place, to have a cash cushion, and to make sure that you are fully invested in terminating your relationship. And t- for that, I really think that if you're doubtful in any way, then you shouldn't make a move. You should be absolutely like bags have already packed and feeling a sense of relief afterwards and during rather than fear. So if you're feeling fear, you might want to talk to a coach or a therapist, at the very least, friends and family that you can confide in, just to make sure that it's the right decision for you and for anybody else, especially minor children, um, who would be impacted directly. So take care, and hopefully you found this a little bit useful if you're considering divorce or are newly divorced. It's not as bad as people make it out to be, and in fact, it can be kind of the beginning of a new chapter of your life where you're a lot more free to be who you really are.